Welcome to my corner of the world in the Northern Hemisphere here. Today is February 1st, and this is a special time of turning in the cyclical nature of our world and our life. Happy Imoblc. Imoblc is a traditional Celtic or Gaelic celebration that I have actually adopted in my life, having since left organized Christian religion and the church. It's been a really healing place for me to develop these rituals that have pre-Christian roots, and also roots that are deeply ingrained in the feminine sacred. So Imoblc, which is really a harvest festival, happens at the quarter point in the year between the Winter Solstice and the Spring Equinox. So it is a time of subtle change and turning between those more sort of larger shifts in the cyclical nature year. And I find that to be really encouraging for us in our lives, in our spiritual journey, is when we don't necessarily sense that things are changing or are moving in the direction that we're needing them to in our heart, in our spirit, in our body, in our mind. And so to orient our lives within these quarter points of the year where there is a subtle shift, perhaps even unnoticeable under the surface, is really encouraging and really hopeful. And so this idea of turning happens in Imoblc in a really special way. Imoblc in Gaelic means in the belly. And it's a beautiful notion of Mother Earth turning and reorienting herself toward this gradual return of the sun. This is when the sun does start its gradual return with longer days as we move toward springtime. And as you can see behind me, in my backyard here, there really isn't a lot of visible signs of that turning. It's under the surface. It's deep within that well, that vessel, that womb of life. And so Imoblc is a deeply feminine, sacred time, something that really celebrates that germination, that gestational period, regardless of whether it's, a literal pregnancy. It's this turning and developing and growing and reorienting within ourselves that's happening beneath the surface that we may not be able to see or may not be intelligible at the moment in concrete ways, but we know there's something that's happening. So I share this with you on this really wintry day, that the sun is returning, that the warmth of the earth is starting to bubble back up again right beneath all of the snow behind me. It's a really special celebration. It's taken on different forms over the centuries. In fact, when Christianity did find its roots in Ireland and the British Isles, this celebration actually became Christianized with what is known as Candlemas. And it's the dedicating of all the candles that will be used during the year in ritual gatherings and services, which I also think is quite beautiful. But in that Christianization, what was lost were the deeply feminine roots of this inner fire, this inner creativity that is growing and taking root beneath the surface. And so in traditional Celtic celebrations, this quarter of the year festival of Imoblc is associated with Saint Brigid. Brigid is a pre-Christian deity. She is a goddess of the Hearth, goddess of creativity and fire. And so she is really affiliated with this notion of in the belly, that in your gut feeling of creativity beginning to churn, beginning to spark, beginning to take flight and flame. So in these colder months, especially if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, lighting candles around your home, really tending to that inner fire within your soul is a really important part of this time of year. It's something that will enable us to move into new iterations of ourselves, new developmental stages and aspects of growth, and really reminding us that life is not stagnant. It's continually moving and growing and evolving, even if we can't sense those changes in our lives readily, but knowing and trusting that that is indeed happening just below the surface.